Okay, we offer prayers to the spiritual teachers. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavade Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, that's it. All glory to Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so we, as usual, we will do some recap. So anybody remember the topic of last week? Mataji's topic of last week? Week 18. Anything that you can remember, you can recall. How about this clue? Why do we sin? What makes us do abominable activities as if we are forced to do it, even though we don't want to do it? What is that? It starts with L.
Full activities.
Okay, no, it's just four-letter word.
Lustful activities.
Lust, just lust. Okay, so lust is the reason for all the sins. Okay, and then we went to see where this lust reside. Remember, in a war, the country people, the army will want to see where the enemies are sitting. Okay, so this is what we saw last week. Okay, so the original consciousness of man is covered by lust. What is the original conscious? What is covered? What is that feeling originally? Before it turned to lust, what was it originally? Anyone?
Wrath.
Yes, before it something turns to lust, that something, what was that? What was that something? It was originally something else. And then something happened to it and then it became lust. What is it? Also starts with
In the recent past, you have had an obsession that you could not fulfill.
okay, so that is the meaning of lust, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Right, let's proceed to first question. Okay, how lust bind us to this world? Remember, there was a mathematical equation or something like that. Something, back to what I mentioned earlier, there was something, some substance or some element, and then it has come to contact with something. Okay, let's say that the something was A, and then it comes into contact with something, and then it becomes lust. Do you all remember this? So when the living entity comes in contact with the material creation, something is transformed into lust. And in this, one of the modes are involved.
Unsatisfied. When they are unsatisfied, the lust becomes
Anger.
anger. That's right.
Okay, so that is later. First, what is the very basic thing that we learned last week?
We learned about the 4 pillars, is it?
No, that's before. So the original love for Krishna is transformed into lust. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So how that original love for Krishna is transformed into lust? Some factor has contaminates that pure love for Krishna. What factor is that? Something contaminated it. It's one of the modes, one of the 3 modes. Mode, mode of what mode? Goodness, passion, ignorance?
Is it ignorance?
No.
Mode of passion.
It's passion because you always want to do this, want to do this, want to do this, want to achieve that.
Passion.
Yeah, it's passion. When a living entity, us, when we are pure soul, and the original feelings that we have, the desire that we have, is pure love for Krishna. But when we come to this material creation, the mode of passion influences us, okay, contaminates us and transforms into lust. Okay, so do you all remember this? It's in your PDF, you can check. Okay, so this is the basic answer. Please try to remember. We did this last week. Okay, and then next question. What are the sitting places of lust? Where does this enemy stay?
The mind, senses, and intelligence.
The mind, sorry, Mataji.
That mind, the senses, and intelligence.
Yes, very good. Mataji, can you tell what DG verse is that? Which Bhagavad Gita verse is that?
That's 100.
It's in chapter 3. It's like towards the end.
3.37.
A bit more. I like the sound of the pages flipping. Means somebody is checking the book. Okay, I'm gonna give a few seconds there. Okay, text 37 says what happens to the lust if it is not fulfilled. It turns to anger. And then you go down some more. Then you will know where the enemy is sitting. Do you all remember the chariot driver, the horse, the man behind the chariot driver? What does that show?
This people don't say it's the last of me.
Anybody else? Bhagavad Gita in your hand? Or at least the PDF that I shared last week? It should be there.
Mataji, is it Bhagavad Gita 3.37?
A bit more down, Mataji, further. You will find where the lust is sitting. So you can refer Veda-based Bhagavad Gita 3 point something, chapter 3. Hala Mataji, would you like to try? Roja Mataji? Yes, Kaya Mataji.
I don't have the Bhagavad Gita with me now, that's why.
Oh, okay. Roja Mataji?
Yeah, still looking, Mataji, because my
Okay,
laptop is not working. I'm on the phone. 1 minute.
okay, siapa lagi? Karpia Saras Mataji?
I'm also looking for it.
Okay, I'm going to give you 1 more minute. It's in chapter 3 and it's after chapter 3.37. You just have to read the translation and you'll know where this last sitting places. There's no PDF, the one that I shared last week. Nobody took down notes last week.
Is it in the mind?
Okay. Earlier, somebody already said the 3 places. I just want the verse number. But you can also repeat what are the 3 places. Mine is correct. 2 more. Faster, we haven't gone into today's topic. Nobody? Who's having Bhagavad Gita in their hand? I can guide you.
I have Mataji.
Okay. Where are you? Which verse are you now?
Text 37.
Okay, go to 38. Can you
Okay.
see any
I,
places that last is sitting?
as
Just-
fire is covered by
Fire is
smoke.
out.
Okay, so that is not the verse. Now go to the next verse and read the translation.
Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire.
Okay, do you find your answer there?
Yeah.
Three places where last sit, is it there? No, it's not there. So go to the subsequent verse.
Hold on, ah.
Just read the translation.
The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of the lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him.
Ada jumpa jawapan?
Yeah. Senses, mind, and the intelligence.
Yes, so it's not so far from the 37. If you just read the translation, you'll get the answer very fast. So these are the 3 places where the last sits. And what is the verse number?
3.40.
Yes. Okay, so again, I recap this. Okay. All right. So when the living entity comes in contact with material creation, okay, which is predominantly ruled by this mode of passion. So the pure love for Krishna that we have in us transform into lust. Okay. So just like what is the example given? Milk contact with what becomes what?
Milk contact with vinegar becomes curd.
Yes, very good. Milk in contact with anything sour becomes
Sour.
yogurt. So it transforms. So another part is that when lust is unsatisfied, it becomes
Right.
right. Yes, anger.
Yeah.
And when lust is satisfied,
Become illusion.
no. If the lust is satisfied, what happens to us? Today you want one car, so you manage to buy. What happens then? You want to buy a bigger car or more powerful car. So what is that? Yes, greed. So when lust is satisfied, it turns to greed. When lust is not satisfied, it becomes wrath, anger. Okay. And when the lust is not satisfied, it becomes it makes us feel angry and then becomes under the illusion, I am not getting what I wanted. So this is illusion, and this is what keeps us entangled in the material world. Okay, so the sitting places of lust is senses, mind, and intelligence. Okay, so now can lust be satisfied? Can we satisfy our lust? Can we?
We want more and more.
We want more and more and more. Can we go like one last time? I just do just today and tomorrow I will not do anymore. Does that work? Just one more time and I'm done with it. Can we
It
do
won't,
that?
it won't work.
It won't work. What is the example given? Just like when the fire is burning, what would you do? You pour fuel into it. If you keep pouring fuel into it, it's going to burn and burn and burn. So it is never satisfied. Okay, there you see. Lust, which is never satisfied, which burns like fire. So in Manusmriti, it is said that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment. You cannot say, I'm going to go full swing on this, and then I'm going to call it a day, and I'm going to put a stop to it. Okay, it is never going to happen. It's just like the fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. You just have to pour water and just stop it. So how do you let this lust die? What you should do for the lust to die? There's an urge to do something. You want to do something. How do you stop forest fire? Because you cannot use any amount of rain or water or cloud seeding, fire extinguisher. How generally the forest fire dies? How?
They cut a trench to stop the fire from going to the other side.
Okay, but how eventually the forest fire will die? By us not feeding it, by us just letting it be, by us not entertaining it, it will die off. Okay, so this is what it was mentioned, and we discussed this in the class last week. The way to let the lust, to manage this lust is just let it die like that. Don't feed it. We keep feeding it, that it's never going to be one more day, just one more time. No, okay, it never dies if you keep doing that. Okay, because lust leads to greed. If you achieve this, you're going to do more. Okay, so lust cannot be satisfied. Okay. Now, how can we use the sitting places of lust to engage in Krishna's service? So we saw some examples. Can you recall any names we saw in the class last week? The examples. Somebody burned the Lanka, remember? Everybody there? Why everybody like so quiet? Give me some example that we studied last week. Who used their anger in Krishna's service? We covered two personalities. Hello? Hare Krishna.
One, I think, is Hanuman.
Yes, Hanuman. Okay, he got angered because the armies or the servants of Ravana burned the tail, and he went around burning the Lanka city. Who's the other person? Who is the other person engaged anger in Krishna's service? Krishna asked him to fight, and he fought. He has to have anger to fight. Who is that?
Is it Arjuna?
Yeah, it's Arjuna. Okay, Arjuna has to engage his anger to fight, but that is for Krishna's service. Okay. All right, so that is the recap. What happened to everyone today? Why so quiet? Okay, I rushed because I know you all are waiting. That please give me inspiration. Okay, so we are entering energizer questions. Speak your mind. Who is the first person you can think of to whom you would like to apologize, but you do not want to? Can have 1 or 2 person sharing. Yeah, you can just, or you can tell somebody else's story or some examples if you don't want to take it too personal. Anything? Sometimes we don't want to apologize to our kids because it means that we are putting ourselves down. Sometimes I also do mistakes, and I go say so sorry to them. And children, they forgive very easily. All right, so we shouldn't be very shy to say sorry to the kids. They're very innocent, but we have to explain. Okay, so That's from my viewpoint. Is there anything anybody else would like to share? You would like to apologize, but you do not want to. Is everybody there? Oops. Saras Mataji, would you like to share? Or have you ever felt like you wanted to apologize to somebody, but you didn't want to? But of course, you probably eventually you would have apologized. Tachaini Mataji?
I'm sorry, Mataji. I'm also listening to Dr. Dinesh talk. You know, Dr. Dinesh from IFO.
Okay, Mataji. Carry
I'm
on.
also listening. I'm also listening to you. So I'm in both classes today.
Okay, Mataji. Kaya Mataji?
I will share my experience, Mataji, that one of my auntie, because of misunderstanding, we are no more talking.
Oh,
I know it's a misunderstanding. She has an ego that I'm younger to her. I have the ego that the words she throw on me. So I don't want to apologize. We are still not talking after a few years. I know it's a ego. This person actually triggers my ego, but still, yeah.
okay, yeah. So thanks for sharing, Mataji. Yeah, this happened. This is not an uncommon thing. Okay, this is common, very common. You always have this. Okay, anybody else? Thanks, Mataji. Anybody else would like to share anything similar? So don't worry, nobody is judging us. Even sometimes you can see me sharing a lot of things, so I don't worry about it. Because here we are here to learn and then just loosen up, okay? So don't worry about it. One more person. Roja Mataji, anything?
Okay, Mataji, I just logged into the computer. Can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe you can mute the other device, off the volume on the other device. Okay, now you speak, Mataji. Let me see. Can't hear you. Are you speaking, Mataji? Okay, just give me a moment, yeah. Okay. Anybody else would like to share, or I shall proceed? Roja Mataji, are you there? Mataji is gone. Okay, so I think I'll just proceed. You all can hear me, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. All right. So, okay, I'll proceed, yeah. I don't know what happened to everybody today. So quiet. Okay, so we'll enter this, okay. The conclusion of this, this discussion is, the sharing is that generally we don't like to apologize because we always think that we are right, okay? And this is actually covered by false ego. Okay, so we always think that we are correct and others are wrong. Okay, so we will think we are correct, they will think they are correct. Okay, this is very, very normal. This happens all the time, okay? And it happens to almost everyone, okay? So we will see what is this ego actually. So generally we will think, oh, this person is so egoistic. Okay, so is that the right word? Philosophically speaking, is that the right word? Ego means arrogance and being a denial. Is that what ego means? Okay, so we will see that today. Okay, so let's proceed. Our week 19. And we're going to learn about what is true ego, what is false ego, and how this false ego traps us in this material world. Sometimes they like to judge us. Yes, a lot of the times we refuse to speak our heart out because we are scared that we will be judged, or we will they use the information that we share against us. All this will happen, okay? And then when conflicts happen, that's it, okay? It's a war, and then I blame you, you blame me, okay? It's very difficult to communicate, but this is the symptoms of Kali. People get disturbed very easily. People get anxious very easily. They like to argue and test our patient. Yes, sometimes we cannot disengage also because they like to instigate us, right? They force us to react. So here, this time, I mean, nowadays we have lots of courses, self-development courses that we learn how not to react. Okay, instead of reacting, we need to respond. Okay, so this have to be put into practice every day in every situation. So in Krishna, we can manage that. Okay, we may not be perfect overnight, but when we have all this kind of information, why this is happening to me? Okay, you know this mind, sense, intelligent. Sense is the lowest. Of course, sense is better than matter, and above the sense is what, above this is what above the mind is what, above the mind is intelligence, above the intelligence is the soul. So we understand, if we have this knowledge that we can pick from Bhagavad Gita, we will understand us better. So when we understand us better, we also can understand other people better. Certain people, they have certain characters because certain mode is very strong in them. So you hate the sin, but not the sinner. So when you understand them, then you will have compassion, and you will know that I cannot do so much to control them or to change them. What we can do is you change the way that we react or respond to them. Okay, so this is the knowledge that you can apply. Okay, so I think we should proceed. Thanks, Soja Mataji. So keep sharing this kind of information. Okay, it can help others as well. Okay, so to understand false ego, we need to know that we have two types of bodies. One that we can see and one that we cannot see. Boleh ke Mataji, I can see my body? Is there a body that we cannot see? Who can say something? We would have touched this in our previous classes. It's a very general knowledge. We have two types of body. One that we can see, one that we cannot see. What is the name of the body that we can see? What is the name of the body that we cannot see? Anybody knows these terms? No problem, Mataji. Right? What is the body that you can see? What do you call this? It starts with G.
Gross body.
Gross body. Very good. What is the body that we cannot see? It starts with S.
Subtle body.
Subtle body. Yes, very good. Okay, so understand gross and subtle, remember. Now we're going to zoom into subtle body. Now, subtle body got three. It's made of three elements. Anybody can recall?
Mind, intelligent, and false ego.
Very good. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, let's have somebody to repeat that. Saras Mataji. Can you repeat the three elements of subtle body? Three components of subtle body. It's like we covered this in chapter 13. It looks like an egg and got different layers inside. So we have a soul and then got three layers covering it. Please tell me the first one. And then the rest two will fall in place. It starts with M. Can somebody try something?
Mine, Mataji. Mine. Senses.
Oh, sorry, I mute.
Oh, you were trying to.
I was giving the answer, then I said, why? He said, then Mataji didn't hear me.
Okay, mind. Things that we
Yes,
cannot see.
Yes, I've already told, but I was thinking, why is she repeating again and again?
Ayo. Okay, Mataji. So what's the second one? Mind?
Intelligence,
Intelligence?
is it knowledge,
No.
senses,
No.
Senses.
No.
senses.
False ego.
False ego. Yes, our soul is covered by the mind, the intelligence, and false ego. Okay, so this is the covering of the soul. Now, from two types of body, gross body, subtle body, we zoomed into subtle body, and now you know there are three components of the subtle body. Now we are going to zoom into this false ego, which is our topic today, and we will understand from the point of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so we need somebody to read for us. Let's see what Krishna says about false ego.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes, Saras Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature.
Yes, very good. Okay, so what does it mean by this false ego generally, based on this verse? Kala Mataji, what can you extract from this verse? What Krishna says here, what is this false ego actually? Roja Mataji, is your computer okay?
Yeah, now okay.
Okay, so what do you think, Mataji?
I think the soul thinks,
Hmm?
no, sorry, the false ego thinks he's the doer.
Yeah, actually you are right. The soul, because of the false ego, thinks that he is the doer. Okay, the master is the soul. Okay, your first answer is correct. Because of the false ego, it thinks that he is the doer. So what is actually being done? What is actually happening?
Actually, the activities are carried by the three modes of nature. Material,
Yes. What are the three modes of material nature, Mataji? Do you remember?
passion, ignorance,
Goodness.
goodness.
Very good. Who's with you, Mataji? Somebody is.
Yeah, some from our group mentioned goodness. I don't know. I'm alone.
Oh, okay. Okay, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, according to the influence of the modes, we act. Sometimes we are in the mode of goodness. We do all good things. We speak good things. We are so calm and nice. Suddenly, the mode of passion influences, or let's say we are so angry. We'll throw some words, and then we act so passionately. And then when the mode of ignorance influences, then become so lazy. We want to sleep. We eat too much. Okay, go into drugs and intoxications. Okay, so these are the three modes that influencing us to do activities. But the spiritual thing, I am doing this, I am doing that. Okay, so okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we move to the video where this Prabhu explains what is this false ego and true ego. Okay, 5 minutes, huh?
Hare Krishna. Question from Panduranga Charan Prabhu. What exactly is false ego and true ego? Actually, Prabhupada mentions in the purport from 13.8 to 12. Answer: ego is the concept of ahamatva, I am. So, the sense of I-ness is foundational to our existence. We may change our name, we may change our nationality, we may change our skin color, whatever things we may change, but still the sense of I am remains the same. Now, so the sense of I am, the sense of I-ness is the sense of ego. Now, sometimes the word ego is used in a negative connotation. Ego is used to refer to pride, somebody who has arrogance, has got a lot of ego. So yes, that is one way of using the word ego, but that is a specific way of using. When we use it in the philosophical sense, there the ego refers just to sense of I-ness that is there. Now, when I am is followed by something which is unreal, that means I identify myself with something that I am not, then that is called as false ego. So, when we identify with our body and we think I am Indian or I am American, I am a male or a female, or I am an engineer or I am a housewife or whatever, then these are all conceptions of false ego. Now, beyond them all is the true ego. So at one level we could say the true ego is Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahma. Yes, that is true ego, but still it is not the complete true ego. Because there one understands who we are in terms of our identity. But there we don't understand who we are in terms of our relationships. So we have an individual identity, we have a social identity. And our complete identity is a combination of our individual and social identity. I may say, okay, I'm a so and so person, but then as a part of my identity is also which country do I belong to. So like that, we all have our identity as an individual and we have identity in relationship. So Aham Brahmasmi gives our identity as in isolation, not in relationship. So that identity in relationship is talked about, is pointed towards in the Bhagavad Gita in 15.7. Mamaivaamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manah shishthani indriyani prakritisthani karishyate. So Mamaivaamsho jiva loke. Mamaivaamsho, Krishna says, all living beings are my amsha, my parts. So our complete identity is that we are parts of Krishna. We are meant to love and serve Krishna. Jivera swarupa hoye Krishnera nityadas. That we are eternally the servants of Krishna. That is our identity. So true ego means to understand that I am a servant of Krishna. So when the sense of I-ness is connected with truth, with the complete truth, not just the truth that I am the soul, but with the truth that I am a soul who is a loving servant of Krishna, then that leads to the conception that is the true ego, the full understanding of who we are. We are eternal spiritual beings. So ego is something which can never be given up. The idea of impersonalists and voidists is that ego is something to be dissolved. That just as a candle gets extinguished, that is the metaphor, defining metaphor of Buddhism. Similarly, existence gets extinguished, or just as the air in a pot merges into the air in the atmosphere, so like that the small Brahma merges into the big Brahma, and that way the ego gets lost. That is the impersonal Mayavadi idea. But the Bhagavad Gita is telling in this verse, Mayamsha Jivalaka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, where it is eternal parts. So the point here is that we can never give up ego. I am, the sense of I-ness is always there. But what changes is, what do we identify that sense of I-ness with? Who am I? When that is in connection with the body, then it is false ego. When it is connected with our true understanding of who we are, Rita Swarupa, then it is true ego. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so His Grace Chaitanya Charan Das Prabhu, he gives a lot of courses like Bhakti Sastri, teachers training, all that. Is very great preacher. Okay, okay. Okay, so let's move on. So this is a conclusion. False ego makes us believe we are the doer. It pushes us to take credit for everything, making us forget that Krishna is the controller. Okay, so this is in connection to Prabhu's talk just now. Who am I? Okay. Okay, so this is the first verse in Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra. Okay, sometimes it's called Brahma Sutra, sometimes it's called Vedanta Sutra. It is said that the first question a person can start asking when you step into your quest of enlightenment. So they'll start asking question, who am I? Okay, it means after this, I want to find out who am I. This is the meaning. Hold on now. I think the meaning should be here. What is Brahman? Okay, right? So it's asking what is Brahman? Us, we are Brahman, but we are not the Brahman that God Brahman. That is supreme Brahman. We are the small Brahman. So this question's translation is, this human life is meant for inquiring about God. This is one meaning of this question. Also, there is another meaning that now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth. Okay, so it's asking, it's also mentioning who is Brahman atau Brahma Jisnasa, who is Brahman, and it is time to know who is this Brahman. Okay, so there are two meanings to it. So basically, this human life is meant to understand who is Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. This is where the real education starts. Okay, so the para Brahman is Krishna, Supreme Brahman, and we are Brahman. Okay, Krishna is para Brahma, we are Brahman. Okay, so this Vedanta Sutra is telling, start asking what is Brahman, who is Brahman. So this is how it starts. Okay. All right, let's go to this verse. This is from Katha Upanishad. Okay, I think we can skip this. Let's skip this. Okay, so this is a continuation about false ego also. A person in false ego thinks that he is the doer. He doesn't have the knowledge that he is under the control of the Lord, and he takes credit for all things, takes all credit for doing things independently. Okay, so he fails to understand that we were created under the supervision of the Lord, and as such, our body and mental activity should be engaged in the service of Krishna. So he's not aware of this. So therefore, he will do all this, that he is a doer, that whatever that he does, whatever that he achieves, that the credit belongs to him. Okay, so this kind of person is called an ignorant person. Okay, this kind of person, he gets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, who is known as Rishikesha, is the master of the senses of the material body. So everything belongs to Krishna. Okay, so we are just acting on behalf of him. So if we don't have this realization, then we think that we are the doer. Okay, so we want to know how he forgets that. Okay, how an ignorant man can forget. So it is explained here. For a long time, he's been using his senses in sense gratification for himself. He's using the senses to satisfy his desires and his needs. And because of that, gradually he is influenced or bewildered by this false ego. And gradually he forgets his eternal relationship with Krishna. Just like the Prabhu said, there are two things we want to find out about when you ask question, who am I? So of course, who am I means we are not the body, we are the soul, but that is not the complete truth. The complete truth is that you are a spirit soul. If there is a spirit soul, if you are a spark, then there's a fire elsewhere. So what is the relationship between the spirit soul to the supreme soul? So it is a servant and master relationship. So, and this understanding is the complete understanding. So you can ask anybody, just go to on the road and ask, do you know who you are? Everybody will say, I am the soul, I am Atma. But that is not the complete truth. Like Prabhu said, the complete truth is that I am spirit soul and I am a servant of Krishna. Or you can just conclude by saying, I am a servant of Krishna. So this is our true position. Okay, so we go to the next verse where Krishna speaks about false egoism. Anybody would like to read?
I read, Mataji. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of the activities that is actually carried out by the three modes of material nature.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Now, I want to dissect this phrase by phrase, okay? So generally in this material world, right, everybody thinks that I am the greatest. Okay, generally people will think like that. I am better than this person. I'm the best in my field. So it's very natural for people to think like that because of the false ego and they think they are the doer, so they take the credit. So eventually they will say, I am the greatest. Now, and they will say, who can become more than me? And this is where it means by this term here, ahankara. So material world is like that. It's got ahankara. Who can be better than me? Who has more than me? So everybody thinks this way. Okay, so there is this struggle in this material world for this competition. Ahankara vimudhatma means who can be better than me? I don't care for God. I am independent. I am God. Okay, so that's the worst situation. They will decide that I am God. I am Brahman. Okay, they will say like this. So all these are ahankara. This is what false egoism is. Being bewildered, caused by bewilderment. Okay, but they do not know when the death comes. Krishna is death. When Krishna comes as death, everything will be finished. You will not bring back anything. Okay, so this is called the effect of false egoism. Okay, so talking about death, okay, in 1034, Krishna says, I am death and I take away all your possession. Okay, if anybody has this Bhagavad Gita, you can open. Let me read the full verse. 1034. Anybody has the Bhagavad Gita in your hand? Would you like to read the verse 1034? Anyone? Bhagavad Gita in your hand?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Roja Mataji, please read the translation.
I'm all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
Okay, Mataji, can you read the first phrase, the first few words? Again, I am all
devouring death.
Okay, yeah, that's all, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. So here Krishna say, I am all devouring death. So which means you can have your fun, possess whatever you want in the world, call yourself whatever it is, but I'm going to come as death and I'm going to take away all your possessions. Okay, you will not bring anything back with you. Okay, so however intelligent we may be, this one in the purple box here, however intelligent we may be, however proud we may be for our possession, but death is sure. That is why it is always said, as sure as death. So if everything is only temporary, why are we so deluded by the by false ego? Okay, as sure as death. Now we will see what kind of a person from the past who has been devoured by this false ego. Okay, who is this person? Personality. The first picture. Who is that trying to strangle or push the sun down? Anybody knows who is this guy? He's a king. He's called Demon King. What's his name? What was his name?
Hiranyakasipu, is it?
Yes, Hiranyakashipu. So what's the problem with Hiranyakashipu? Anybody? I have...
he disliked Krishna, is it?
Yeah, he disliked Krishna. And then what else? What else is his problem? What else? What else is his issue? He doesn't like Krishna. Okay, fine. Because his brother was killed by Vishnu's avatar, the Varaha avatar.
The son is the devotee of Lord Krishna, the son Prahlada.
Okay, so he doesn't like his son being a devotee of Lord Vishnu. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like Krishna. He doesn't like his son becoming devotee of Krishna. What else? What else? Anybody else? Param Prabhu, anything that you know about Hiranyakashipu? Why is he a bad guy?
Oh, he thought he is indestructible. He won't be able to die.
He thinks he's indestructible, right? He thinks he cannot be died. Okay, what makes him think that he cannot be died? Because he has received boons from Lord Brahma. Okay, what else? What is a very important thing about him that makes him do all these things? that he doesn't want his son to become Krishna's devotee, that he doesn't want to be killed. What does he want to become? He wants to become immortal. He wants to become God. He wants people to worship him. Okay, and he was so rich, so you can see here that he is so proud of his possession, and he was so powerful that even the devas were afraid of him. Okay, this was fact that he was so powerful. He was too powerful, the devas were afraid of him, and he was already controlling the 3 worlds. Okay, and that is why nobody dared to fight with him. Of course, also he received wounds from Lord Brahma. However, what happens at the climax? When the Lord comes, habis, semua habis. Everything was finished within a second. Okay, so this is a classic example that no matter how rich, how powerful, how great you are, one day it's going to be finished when Krishna comes as death. Okay, so there is no point having false ego thinking that everything belongs to us. We are not the controller. Okay, we are given things because our past karma or pious activities. But if we misbehave, then Krishna can take it away in a second. And we cannot say anything. Okay, so only the Lord is the controller because no one is controlling him. Okay, so we proceed to another verse that talks about the Lord. Okay, this is about a person engaging in activities. Yeah, okay, can we have somebody to read, please?
Okay, I'll read Mataji. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So here Krishna is telling what kind of person is not affected by false ego. Okay, before we move on, Krishna is saying an intelligent person, a realized person knows the difference when you work for results and you work in devotion. So when you work for results, then you are bound by the fruits. Okay, when you do good things, you get good things. When you do bad things, you get bad things. And you have to either enjoy or suffer the fruits. But a person who's devotional, who's doing activities in devotion, then they are not actually satisfying their senses because their consciousness, even though they are doing activity like normal working, eating, taking care of the family, but their consciousness is always about Krishna. So that is devotional service. And this kind of person, they can differentiate. And he will not engage in sense gratification to satisfy himself. Okay, so we will proceed. Krishna. Okay, so when we have this understanding that the activity should not be for sense gratification, but should be in devotional mood, then that person is not deluded by false ego. So this is all basically training. It's not about you read today and tomorrow you are a changed person. Okay, of course, there should be some progress, but it's a continuous training. Every time we have to tell this to ourselves. Okay, we are not the doer, we are being controlled by these modes, and we have to transcend it. And the activities that we do, it's not to satisfy our senses, it's to we have to set our mind, the consciousness, you have to treat the consciousness that I'm doing this as a service for Krishna. So like this, gradually, we will not be bewildered by the false ego. Okay, so it's there, but you will not be bewildered. You will not go uncontrollable. All right. So can we have somebody read all these flowers and also in the blue box, the text in the blue box? So one who knows the Lord means the Tattvavid person. Okay. The Tattvavid is here, Tattvavid, who is in knowledge of the absolute truth. So what does the person who is in knowledge of the absolute truth behaves like? What does he do? Can we have somebody to read?
Shall I read? Knows,
Knows, yes, yes.
knows he is part and parcel of SPG Krishna. What is
Supreme
the
personality of, Supreme Personality of Godhead.
knows he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Realizes he is entrapped here and wants out. Knows that he is controlled by the Lord, not disturbed by material problems, talks it as a mercy, takes it as a mercy of the Lord, unattached to the activities of the material senses. Knower. He engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of the material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. Thank you.
Okay, right. Thank you, Mataji. So this is actually self-explanatory. Okay, so he knows his position. Okay, he knows his position, and he knows what are we doing here. We are actually trapped here, and he knows what we want. What we want is we want to get out from here. Okay, and with this knowledge, we know that we are actually controlled by the Lord, so we are not acting independently of the Lord. If we do that, then we are actually getting ourselves bound in this material world deeper and deeper. All right. What else? Whenever there is a material problem, we're taking it as a mercy of the Lord in a way that we are suffering because of our past karma. All right. But because if you're already in devotional service, then Krishna is definitely going to minimize that suffering. But pure devotional service is like a blazing fire. It can burn the karma. And that karma is not only the karma that we are about to suffer. Okay, so there are actually 4 kinds of karma. One is in the form of seed. One is going to mature. Third one is matured already. And one is, there's 4 types. Okay, so there are 4 types of karma. Pure devotional service can burn all of it. I think you need to mute one of the devices. I can hear myself. Okay. Yeah, so there are 4 types of karma, and all of this will be burned by pure devotional service. So it may not take effect immediately, just like how you switch off a fan, the fan is still spinning, right? It doesn't stop immediately. So like this, there's some karma that we will have to burn. There are some karma that we still have to suffer. However, be assured that Krishna will definitely minimize the suffering that we are about to go through or we are going through. Okay, so with that, we will not be disturbed. Okay, and sometimes we also have to take that material miseries as a way that Krishna is teaching us a lesson. That is something that we need to learn from that. Okay, so that could be also a way that he is showing mercy to us. Yeah, echo. Now, is it okay now, Mataji? I muted somebody just now.
Yeah, okay now.
Okay. Now, finally, he will be unattached to the activities of the material senses because all his focus is about serving Krishna's senses. Okay, even though it may seem like he's engaging his senses, like he's eating, he's spending money for himself, driving a car, but everything is all in consciousness and how he's engaging it. Is he taking prasadam? Is he driving to temple? Is he doing service? Is he using the money in Krishna's service? Okay, is he feeding prasadam to others? So this is how he is not engaging in activities of material senses, but in the service of Krishna. So always remember the consciousness. Okay, we don't have to be a full-time devotee to sit at a temple and just do temple service. No. Okay, we have, even Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita, everybody has to work to maintain this material body. Okay, so Krishna is so understanding. You just have to tweak your consciousness. And this comes through training. It doesn't happen overnight. So if you keep practicing it, then it will be your nature. Therefore, it is important that we become free from false ego by remembering that only the Lord is the supreme controller. Okay, anything happens, we will take it as Krishna's mercy. Krishna has given us the facility But when the suffering comes, it's definitely because of karma. Krishna has nothing to do with our karma because we cari sendiri. Okay, all right. Krishna has already given the rules and regulation SOP. So if you don't follow, then you have to suffer the consequences. Okay, so we're actually done with our false ego. So it's not actually this topic can be very heavy, but I made it very light. Actually, there's a continuation. We have covered false ego now. Then later we will cover mind and intelligence. But there won't be classes for the next 4 weeks because I will be doing the 18 days Gita again. Last time, I think your turn was an 18-day stretch. Okay, for now, we are giving break for Saturday and Sunday. So there'll be 5 days. So that's why it's dragged to 4 weeks. So during that time, we will not have our regular level 3 classes. So we will meet again after I finish the 18 days classes. Okay, so we move to the subsequent segments. Still we have time. Nectar of the Holy Name. Okay, can we have somebody to read? Later we have, I think, 2 more videos or something.
Read, Mataji.
Okay, Raja Mataji.
Chanting the holy name frees us from false ego. The effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord is perceived by the chanter as liberation from the conception of false egoism. False egoism is exhibited by thinking oneself to be the enjoyer of the world and thinking everything in the world to be meant for the enjoyment of one's self only. The whole materialistic world is moving under such false egoism of I and mine. But the factual effect of chanting the holy name is to become free from such misconceptions.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, we proceed to preaching is the essence. Another slide to read. Okay, hold on now. Okay, this is about chanting the holy name, freeing us from false ego. Okay, this is a cleansing process. Okay, how about the sharing process here? Let's talk about sharing. Anyone?
To read, is it?
Yes, read, Prabhu.
When a person is advanced in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, he naturally becomes very sympathetic towards all living entities suffering in the material world. Naturally, such an advanced person thinks of suffering of the people in general. If one is actually sympathetic to fallen, suffering humanity, he should try to elevate people from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness by the grace of Krishna. We may raise a person to spiritual consciousness if we ourselves follow the rules and regulations. If we give up our own spiritual activities and simply become concerned with bodily comforts of others, we will fail into a dangerous position.
We will fall into a dangerous position. Thank you, Prabhu. So here it is talking about the importance of being sympathetic in a right way, the best way, or the lasting way. Okay, generally when we are sympathetic to people, you want to donate money, dress, shelter, these kind of things. But you're actually doing a symptomatic relief for them. So you're not actually doing a permanent help for them. So of course, it is good. We do have community responsibilities, okay, to an extent. But there are a lot of people doing that, okay? And there are very little people who have knowledge about what is the everlasting thing that we can give to others. Okay, that is the best welfare for the mankind. So we know that this person is suffering, no money, no dress, no food. Well, why? It's probably because of the reactions of the past. So how are we going to stop the further reactions of their activities in the past to further affect them? So we have to bring them to this devotional services. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, pure devotional service is like blazing fire that will turn these karmas into karmic reactions to ashes. And this is the best welfare activity that we can give others, starting by asking them to chant the holy name, cooking prasad for them, ask them to come to temple and join the festival, or start by reading. Okay, reading. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, Krishna gave 5 levels, 5 options. First, pure devotion, first level, first class devotee. Okay, many people cannot do this because we are working people. So secondly, okay, you work, you have your household life, but what you can do is you can wake up in the morning, you can do arati, you can do this, you can do puja. Okay, you cook, you offer the food, you eat. This is called regulative principles of bhakti. But if you can't do this, then there is work in Krishna consciousness, and then there is charity that you can do. But if you can't do any of this, you can just do reading and meditation. So this will bring you to this 5th level, to 4th level, to 3rd level, to 2nd level, and 1st level. So you have to start somewhere. Okay, and that is where we come and help people to share this knowledge. Okay, so also it's good for us if we share this knowledge, because that way we can retain the information in us as well. Okay, so if you simply forever just giving them money, forever you're giving them clothes and shelter, you're just giving a symptomatic relief. Okay, and then they're going to go on engaging in their activities again and again and again, and then they're going to accumulate the reactions. So we are not stopping the cycle. Okay, we are just supporting them. Okay, and that is not the best welfare that we can do for people. So the best welfare for people is share the knowledge and make changes in their life in this way, spiritual changes. Okay, so we have a video from, I think this Gauranga Das.
So therefore, Manasapi Sureshwarehi. So Madhusudana means Madhu Klibam cha Madhveke Krite Karma Shubha Shubhe Bhaktanam Karmanam Chaiva Sudanam Madhusudana. So Madhusudan means one who specifically destroys our false ego. So false ego is sometimes compared to Madhu. Madhu means honey. Honey has 2 qualities. One quality of honey is it is very sweet. And the second quality of honey, which may not be so well known, is that if you have sufficient quantity of honey, it can be intoxicating. It will be intoxicating. So similarly, false ego is compared to honey. Why? Because all the false conceptions which we have about ourselves, which makes us feel that we are so great, I am so great. And when people come and reinforce that false conception by telling us that you're so great, and when we hear from others how great we are, number one, it sounds very sweet. Right? Ah, you are so great, you are so wonderful. We may deny, but it sounds sweet. And then, if so many people keep saying the same thing, then you start getting intoxicated. Like if so many are saying, means democracy means majority. So, looks like everyone has a very good idea about my glories. So it can get intoxicating. So therefore, Krishna tries to save us and protect us from this intoxication, first through his instructions, which he gives. And the second is through his own pastimes. And those pastimes make any sane, intelligent person step back and look at those pastimes and think, okay, who am I? Yeah, here is the person who's really great. Here is the person who has a genuine birth and genuine pastimes. So looks like there is someone really great here. And I should not be thinking about that myself. So therefore, Manasapi Sureshwara means even the greatest demigods like Brahma, Indra and all were quite bewildered and humbled by Krishna's descent.
Okay, yeah, so even the great personalities are not escaped by their false ego. Okay, so we have to understand the position. We have to understand who are we and our position. That is the true who am I. Okay, all right. So honey, yeah, sweet and intoxicating. Okay, so how well explained that is. Okay, so any questions? Okay, this is so one of the class. I mean, we hardly finished class on time, so we finished early. Any questions? All right, so as I was saying, we will continue the mind and intelligence after 4 weeks. So I hope you all remember. I will try to run a recap when we do the next class. If you all want to refresh your level 1, you can join. Just PM me. I will send you the link. Right now, there's so many students there. 69 students. I don't know how many going to turn up. It's 69 registered. So I don't know how many going to turn up. Okay, so that's about it. Have a good evening, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Good
Krishna
evening.
Mataji. Good evening.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hi,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Prabhu.